Most women think they're failing, but the truth is they're just exhausted. And exhaustion is the number one saboteur of alignment. Hi, I'm Kyria. If you're new here, I help women understand how their body, soul, and spirit actually work so they can stop looping in confusion and finally live aligned with who God created them to be. Today we're moving into a topic every single woman needs to hear because this might be the very thing blocking your healing without you even realizing it. Exhaustion is not just being tired. It's the point where your body, soul, and spirit can no longer maintain alignment, so gaps open up. Those gaps become doors, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and anything can walk in. Confusion, fear, old beliefs, irritation, even spiritual attack. And most women blame themselves instead of recognizing the exhaustion. Physical exhaustion is straightforward. Lack of sleep, blood sugar crashes, chronic stress hormones, poor food, dehydration. When your body is exhausted, it cannot anchor your soul. You're going to feel more emotional, more reactive, more discouraged. It's not weakness, it's physiology. But here's the good news. Your body responds beautifully to simple support. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is to take a real day of rest. Sleep in. Step outside barefoot and ground yourself. Drink water with minerals. Eat protein. Take a slow walk in the sunshine. Give your nervous system a chance to exhale. When the body is cared for, it strengthens the soul instead of collapsing under it. Soul exhaustion is a different kind of tired. It's what builds up after years of carrying everyone else's emotions, absorbing tension in your home, ignoring your own needs, or being the strong one without a break. When your soul is exhausted, your mind fogs over. Your emotions become unpredictable and your willpower collapses. You start interpreting everything through old pain and programming. But soul rest is absolutely possible. Sometimes it looks like pulling back from responsibilities that were never yours to carry, turning your phone on silent, journaling out the emotions you've been stuffing, taking 15 minutes alone in nature to exhale, creating one small boundary that gives your system room to breathe. Even doing something playful or artistic, coloring, sketching, taking photos, can revive your soul faster than you expect. When you make space for your inner world, your soul steadies and your perspective clears. Spiritual exhaustion is subtle. It shows up when your spirit is worn down from warfare, discouragement, trauma, lack of connection with God, or long seasons where you felt alone. When you're spiritually drained, the enemy looks for openings, not to defeat you, but to distract you, to derail you, to disconnect you from the truth. When your spirit is depleted, discernment drops. Your knowing gets fuzzy. You feel more vulnerable. But your spirit restores quickly with intentional nourishment. Quiet prayer, speaking truth over yourself, sitting in God's presence without an agenda, listening, worship that resets your atmosphere, reading even a single verse that recenters you, asking your spirit to come forward and take its rightful place again. And sometimes simply acknowledging that your spirit is tired is enough to shift things. Exhaustion opens the wrong doors. Spiritual rest closes them again. When your spirit is strengthened, you move through your day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of covering because you are aligned again with the one who leads you. Decision fatigue is real. When your brain is tired, every choice feels overwhelming. This makes you default to old programming instead of alignment. You start saying, I don't care. I'll deal with it later. Whatever. It's fine. But it's not fine. It's just fatigue masquerading as indifference. The way out is to simplify. Take as many decisions off your plate as you can. Make a short list of non-negotiables for the day. 3 things max. Build small routines so you don't have to mentally negotiate everything. Choose food ahead of time. Lay out clothes the night before. Give yourself permission to delay non-urgent decisions until your brain is fresher. And one of the most powerful ways to break decision fatigue, step outside. Put your bare feet on the ground. Breathe slowly for 60 seconds. This resets your nervous system and clears mental static faster than anything else. When you reduce the clutter in your mind, your alignment strengthens. Decisions stop draining you and start flowing again. When any layer of you, body, soul, or spirit, becomes depleted, it creates what I call an energetic breach. Think of it like a tiny tear in your field. Nothing dramatic, just enough of an opening for old patterns, negative thoughts, or emotional reactivity to slip back in. This is why when you're tired, everything feels louder. Small irritations hit harder, fears feel more convincing, old beliefs resurface, your body inflames, you fall back into coping habits you thought you'd outgrown. It's not that you're failing, it's that you're unprotected. The solution isn't force, it's repair. Just as I said before, ground yourself, breathe deeply, put your hand over your heart and tell your body you're safe. Pause before reacting, drink water, step into sunlight. Ask your spirit to stand back in its rightful place. Even 30 seconds of intentional presence can seal a breach before it widens. Energetic breaches aren't a sign that something's wrong with you. They're simply your system saying, I need support. And when you give your body, soul, and spirit what they need, the openings close and alignment returns. Shame is one of the oldest traps in the book. It whispers, you're failing. You should be better by now. Everyone else has it together except you. Shame disconnects you from God, from your true identity, and from the truth of who you actually are. But shame dissolves the moment you remember your real identity in Messiah. You weren't created to crawl through life apologizing for your existence. You were created to carry His image, His authority, and His goodness into the world. When you pause, breathe, and remember who you belong to, shame loses its voice instantly. One of the most powerful illustrations of how Yeshua sees you is a story told by Micah Turnbow of his own encounter with the Messiah. Rather than butcher the story myself, I'll link the video in the description and let you hear him tell it in his own words. It is worth the listen. True identity cancels shame every time. Trying to push your way into breakthrough with sheer willpower will wear you down every single time. Willpower is a soul function, and your soul gets tired. But alignment has nothing to do with forcing the timeline. The moment you shift from striving to trusting God's timing, the pressure lifts. He is capable of orchestrating every detail of your life with precision, including the pieces you can't see yet. I've seen this happen time and time again in my own life. When you feel yourself slipping into self-effort, pause and remind yourself, it's not my job to force outcomes. God knows the timing, and He's never late. In fact, you can test Him on this and ask Him to give you an example in something small, and that way you can build your trust and grow from there. Trust creates space. Space creates alignment, and alignment is flow. People-pleasing is rarely about being nice. It's a survival strategy, the fawn response, one branch of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn pattern. It kept you safe once. It helped you avoid conflict, earn approval, or prevent emotional backlash, but it drains you now. and it pulls you out of alignment every time you say yes while your soul is screaming no. The good news? Fawn mode can be retrained. Start small, pause before responding, check in with your body, ask yourself, do I actually want to do this? Give yourself permission to say, let me think about it, even if you never had that option growing up. And this may take some time. You might catch yourself at first fawning when you should have held a boundary. The best thing you can do is say, I'll do better next time. Forgive yourself and try again. You're not rejecting people. You're retraining your nervous system to stop abandoning you. When you honor your own boundaries, your soul strengthens and alignment becomes natural instead of exhausting. Some of the patterns you wrestle with aren't yours at all. They were inherited through your family line or absorbed from the people around you. Parents, spouses, teachers, churches, school or work environments. These beliefs settle into your system and feel like your truth, even though they were never meant for you. And here's the tricky part. You can't always break these on your own. Inherited and absorbed beliefs often sit deep in the subconscious, and they need to be identified and released at the root. That's where my work comes in. Through the emotion, body, and belief code systems, I can pinpoint whether a belief is yours, inherited, or absorbed in some way, and then dismantle it layer by layer. You don't have to guess or fight with your own mind. We can clear the origin and the ripple effect so your spirit can finally step into truth without resistance. When you let go of what never belonged to you, alignment becomes dramatically easier. Unprocessed emotions don't fade with time, they get stored. Every loss, disappointment, betrayal, or moment you had to be the strong one ends up sitting somewhere in your body. And when you're overwhelmed or exhausted, those old emotions don't just resurface, they take over. And here's the reality. Some emotions you can process gently on your own. Journaling, crying, grounding, praying. But others require assistance because they're layered, inherited, or tied to trauma. This is where targeted clearing matters. With the emotion and body code, I can locate the exact age, root, and type of emotion that's stuck and release it cleanly so it doesn't continue resurfacing. You don't have to keep reliving old pain. We can remove the emotional weight at its source so your reactions begin to match your true identity, not your old wounds. Your system can't align when it's dragging emotional cargo. Clearing that burden changes everything. Some women have lived in fight or flight for so long that it feels normal. Your nervous system stays braced, waiting for the next responsibility, the next shoe to drop, the next demand. This hyper-alert state makes rest almost impossible. And while grounding, slow breathing, and nervous system cues absolutely help, sometimes the system is so conditioned by trauma or childhood patterns that it needs deeper intervention. This is where emotional and energetic clearing can shift things quickly. I can identify what's keeping your system locked in survival mode, whether it's trapped shock, inherited trauma, spiritual stress, or specific emotional imprints. Once those layers release, your nervous system can finally downshift into safety. It's not about calming down. It's about removing the reason you couldn't. The results of addressing fight or flight directly are incredible. When I cleared this in myself, my body immediately shifted back into the natural day-night rhythm it was designed for. I started falling asleep easily, waking up without effort, and moving through the day with a calm steadiness. I hadn't felt that in years. It was like my entire system finally remembered how to function the way God had intended. Poor boundaries aren't a personality flaw. They're a symptom. When your soul is exhausted, when your spirit is overshadowed, or when you've lived in survival mode, boundaries become soft, porous, or non-existent. Not because you don't want them, but because your system doesn't feel safe enough to hold them. The beauty is this: your boundaries strengthen naturally as you heal. Every session we do, every release, every realignment reinforces your sense of self, restores clarity, and rebuilds internal authority. Women who once apologized for everything suddenly start saying no with confidence, not from defensiveness, but from alignment. You don't have to force boundaries. Your healed system creates them for you. Religious programming is heavy, sticky, and deeply embedded. It teaches performance, shame, fear, and unquestioned obedience, and those beliefs run deep in the subconscious. Breaking them is possible, but it often requires deeper internal work because these are not surface level ideas. They're identity level narratives. Belief code work is especially powerful here. It lets us identify the exact beliefs you were taught, the ones that distort your view of God, yourself, and the world, and then dismantle the structure piece by piece. I won't sugarcoat it. This can take time. It can feel triggering. It can stir emotions you didn't expect. But if you can stay honest, stay open, and trust God through the process, we can reshape your entire internal framework into something aligned with kingdom truth instead of fear. You don't have to carry programming that God never authored. If you grew up with a harsh, distant, demanding, or easily disappointed version of God, then you're not fighting your own faith. You're fighting someone else's theology. And those misperceptions sit deep in the subconscious. They shape how you pray, how you make decisions, how you interpret hardship, and whether you feel safe enough to let God lead you. This is not a think positive issue. These distortions live inside emotional wounds, inherited beliefs, and religious programming, and they need to be dismantled gently and intentionally. This is where belief code and spirit level work make all the difference. Together we can trace where those false images come from, identify the emotional roots that keep them alive, and release the lies so your spirit can reconnect to who God actually is, patient, kind, present, and deeply invested in your growth. Healing this area can be triggering because it touches identity and trust. But as I said before, if you're willing to be honest, stay open, and let God reintroduce himself, we can rebuild your spiritual foundation on truth instead of fear. Once you see his heart clearly, alignment becomes the easiest thing in the world. Pushing through is what women do when they've run out of clarity. It's the mode you slip into when the soul is tired, the spirit is overshadowed, or the body is running on fumes. You grit your teeth, force outcomes, and try to make things happen through sheer effort. And it always leads to burnout, frustration, or confusion. Alignment works completely differently. It's not about intensity, it's about direction. It's not about force, it's about flow. But if your system is carrying old beliefs, emotional baggage, or spiritual exhaustion, alignment won't feel accessible. It'll feel vague, distant, or like something other women experience, but you can't seem to attain. This is exactly why the clearing work matters. When we remove the emotional interference, collapse the false beliefs, address the exhaustion, and restore your spirit to its rightful place, everything shifts. Suddenly, the next step becomes clear. The pressure lifts, you can hear God again, your timing syncs with his timing, and you stop trying to shove your way through doors he hasn't opened yet. You don't need to push harder. You need to realign. And once you do, life stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like partnership. Alignment isn't about perfection. It's about recognizing what knocks you off center and knowing how to come back to truth, gently, intentionally, and without shame. And now that you understand these saboteurs, you won't be blindsided by them anymore. You'll see the patterns for what they are. You'll know how to close the doors, and you'll have practical tools, plus the deeper clearing work we can do together to guard your energy and protect your alignment. In the next video, we're going to begin laying the foundation for lasting transformation by understanding the natural rhythms and cycles God built into your body, your soul, and your spirit, so you can finally work with the design instead of fighting against it.